Welcome to the Payday with Rayray podcast, hosted by yours truly, Rachel Bell. I'm here to make your life easier as an entrepreneur and teach you everything I've learned about building multiple seven-figure online businesses. And on this podcast, I'll be giving you my best advice, trainings, and mindset shifts so you can grow your business and, most importantly, make every day your payday. Hey there, friends, foes, and anyone who identifies with the spectrum between the two. Welcome to another episode of Payday with Rayray. I'm Rayray. I am so excited to introduce you to the guest on this episode. I've never had a guest quite like this on Payday with Rayray, and I expect that I'll be doing a little bit more of these sit-down interviews, but I want to give you a little pre-frame, a little preface into what this episode is about to include and what you can expect from listening to it. First of all, if you've ever wondered what it looks like to candidly grow your business from just starting out and making your first couple $100s online to scaling up to your first 1K online, to your first 5K online, to your first 10K month and 30K month, and so on and so forth, you're about to get an inside look into what that process really involves, what it entails, and how you can personally prepare yourself for that journey. In this episode, I sat down to chat with one of the most amazing people that I know. Her name is Samone Blakely AKA TorahCents on Instagram and Facebook. She is an online coach accelerator graduate and a dating coach for women of faith. And her story is insane. You're about to hear the nitty-gritty of everything that she's gone through in her entire life that prepared her for the success that she was able to experience inside of OCA. What I'm ultimately aiming to do in this little chit chat with Samone is to give you a very, very candid inside look into what the experience inside of OCA really covers and context for how she was able to generate such an amazing amount of income, revenue, and success inside the program. Like, what did she actually do before the program? What did she do after the program? What did she do during the program to really show up and get the results that a lot of people want from the program? So in this episode, we're going to cover a lot of amazing things. I first off just wanted to tell you how amazing Samone is and how dear she is to me as an OCA graduate. Every single student that goes through this program, I know them by name. I know their stories. I read their intake forms. I interact with them, and I do my best to keep a pulse on where they're at in their journey and how we can better serve them. And one thing that's always so rewarding is to be able to sit down with one of my own graduates and ask them about their journey from what was actually happening for them on the inside. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to witness the results, of course. It's also a beautiful thing to be able to get to know them on a deeper level in terms of their personal life and what they've been through. Because everyone has a story. You listening to this episode right now, you have a story that maybe I'll never know about. And I hope that I get the chance to know you inside of the program. But if I never get the chance to know you, one thing I know for sure is that you have an incredible story. You've been through a lot and you have incredible gifts to give as a result of the hardship and the challenges that you've chosen to overcome. So Samone is an amazing example of this. And on the date of this episode releasing, we are officially open for Online Coach Accelerator enrollment. And I'll tell you what this means. Every 3 months or so, we open up enrollment for Online Coach Accelerator and accept a new cohort of students to join us in 90 days of business mentorship. So this is how it normally works. For 3 months, we mentor anywhere from 100 to 200 students inside of Online Coach Accelerator, and we make sure that they get all of the mentorship, the guidance, the support, the education, and the accountability they need to continue moving forward in the program, getting their homework done on time, making moves, creating results, and seeing it happen before their eyes. Now, another thing that we do is we take an entire month off after every round of OCA completes to do a new month of enrollment. This is where we set aside all of our time every day out of the week, except for one day off, to have interview calls with you, people who are interested in joining the program and just want to learn more about what it looks like and if it's actually a good fit for them and their business. And if that's you and you're sitting here listening and wondering if Online Coach Accelerator is the secret sauce that will help you grow your online coaching business, I would strongly invite you to book a call today with our team. I've been training them for the last 3 days in person to take these interview calls and what questions to ask and how to get to the root of really what you want to create, what's been holding you back, and decide from that point of transparency whether or not we're the best to help you get to the next step. So these calls are a no pressure interview call call. We have already 24% of our calendars booked out as of me recording this right now, which is about a week from our actual public launch. And I would encourage you to book a call just to make sure that you get a spot. Even if you don't know if it's something that you want to pull the trigger on right now, it's worth a shot to get the information. And on that call, we'll be asking you a lot of questions about your business and your history, where you're coming from, where you want to go, what your vision is. And we'll also cover the details of what the investment looks like and how you can enroll if that's something that looks exciting for you. So that is Online Coach Accelerator enrollment. And if you want to learn more about the program and what we teach inside of it, go to onlinecoachaccelerator.com. On that page, you're going to find exactly who it's for, who it's not for, what separates us and differentiates us from other business building programs. And you might be shocked at how different we are. All the things that you're going to get, including the support and the accountability components, the educational materials outlined on that page, all the different modules that we teach you, and all of the case studies, or at least a lot of the case studies that our past students have been able to embody, and all the results that they've been able to create through applying this material. So if you are interested in finding out if OCA is the right fit for you, go to onlinecoachaccelerator.com. And if you're still unsure, just listen in, sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with Samone, one of our most successful OCA case studies. Samone, welcome to the show. It's such an honor to have you here. How are you today?
I'm amazing. Thanks so much, Rachel, for having me.
Beautiful. Now that the small talk's out of the way, we can really dive into what's real here. And guys, the reason why I'm so excited to bring Samone onto the show to really talk about her experience, not only inside of OCA, but in her experience in business as a whole, is because there's so much context to be given behind every case study and every testimonial. And a lot of times when we see a brilliant success story, like Samone's, for example, we can be like, oh, that's amazing. And I don't know if it's possible for me. We feel this conflict of like, it could be possible for me, but also like, I don't know if my circumstances match up with this person. I don't know if I'm ready for that. There's no way to tell whether I'm in those positions to make that same success possible for myself. And so I thought, what better way to really give clarity around Samone's transformation inside of OCA than to give the complete story of her business and why she started business in the first place, and what she's doing right now and how you can support her and reach out to her for further, assistance or clarity on her journey. So, Samone, the first thing that I want to start out with is not, what did you get out of OCA? I'm sure that we'll get there in some part of the conversation. My main curiosity is, when did you first know that you were an entrepreneur?
I am a CPA by trade, and I was a tax professional. And so I realized when I started staring outside of my cubicle in the window and saying, you know what? Life is bigger than this cubicle. And I don't think I want to be here long term. And I don't think I'm going to make the biggest impact doing tax returns for 60 plus hours per week. And at the time, I was already creating content. I was putting really good videos out, really good posts that were going viral, getting people's attention.
Were they about your trade at the time, CPA and taxes?
No.
Oh, okay.
It had nothing to do with that. It was all about what I wanted to talk about at the time. And so I would put out these little viral videos. It would always be humor and truth mixed together. And so that would be a great recipe for a viral video, plus a dash of controversy. And so because of that, lots of people got their eyes on my stuff, and they would say, you know what, you could actually get paid for this, for teaching people some of the stuff that you're talking about. I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So the seed was planted, and it was watered over time, over months and years. And me staring at the cubicle in combination of that, I'm like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm not going to be here that long.
So you decided you were an entrepreneur before you actually, I guess, became a full-fledged self-employed woman.
Absolutely.
And I think that's like the distinction that a lot of people get mistaken. It's like, oh, I can't wait until I'm an entrepreneur. It's like, no, you are one. If you're having that thought, chances are you're an entrepreneur. You just need to decide that you are and then make that reality match up with your beliefs. So I want to go a little bit further back if we can.
Sure.
Just something that came through to me that I'm super curious about is, as a little girl, who did you want to be, and like what did you want to be and do when you grew up?
When I was younger, all I wanted to be was a woman who wasn't dealing with poverty and homelessness and wondering where I was going to lay my head at next and wondering if the lights were going to be on. I wanted to be a successful woman that didn't have to think about my next, like the things that were going to keep me safe and fed. That's what I wanted to be. That's what I thought about as a little girl. I came from a background of poverty, and sometimes we lived in homeless shelters. It was me, my sisters, my mom and my dad. We stayed in homeless shelters. Sometimes we would even sleep in cars. We would live in different family members' homes. And I was in different schools like every other year till I was in high school, traveling some of everywhere, all over in different cities and in different towns and different states. And I just wanted a stable place to call my own and to be able to say, hey, I see that in the store. I want to buy it. So that's pretty much what I grew up to want to be. Somebody who can buy what I want because I see it and I want it.
I had no idea I was going to get that answer, but I'm certainly glad that you shared it, because that is it's such a deeper and more beautiful truth into what we all want and need and deserve, which is safety and total freedom of expression and thought and love and unity and just the feeling of well-being and being held by something bigger. And just looking at your journey right now, Samone, I could almost cry right now just thinking about how far you have come and where you are right now. Like, you provided this for yourself and for so many others. My next question is, how did that alchemize from that, background, which is just so much more than a background, it's a journey. How did your journey alchemize from being in that position and looking around as what the normal situation was growing up, and then deciding that you were going to share your voice on a platform, and then having those videos go viral and getting the hits and the signals that, hey, you have something to say and it's important and people are paying attention and you should continue saying it and you should make a living doing what you love and you can have it all. So that journey is dynamic and so high, and I'm sure there's so many lows in it. But I want to talk about, what was the moment that you published your first video, and what was that inspired by? And why did you ultimately decide to creatively express yourself?
So thank you for asking that. The first video that I posted was trash. It was trash. It was booty, but I posted it because I was incredibly inspired by the transformation I had made within a year or so. Because the year before, I think I posted that video, I was coming from a place of bitterness. I had a hardened heart. I was angry with the world and angry with people and disappointments. And I came from an environment where people who I believed loved me, they actually betrayed me. That was like my last lifeline, because I grew up with not having like real support. And then I meet these people at church and I thought it was going to be this amazing thing. And then I felt betrayed. And I became bitter. And then I met these new group of people who took me under their wing. And they're like, well, no, that was them. And they mentored me. And they taught me that I was so much more than what I had been getting in life. And they started to teach me things. And within a year, I felt like I was a completely transformed woman. I think that was one day that one of them, they prayed over me and they said, you are going to be a great woman. And so many women are going to be inspired by you and touched by you. And you're going to make such an impact in the world. And I couldn't do nothing but cry, because up until then, I had been going to jail. I had been fighting. I had been, stealing out of Walmart. I had been doing all these things. And to say I was going to be this great woman, like I'm like just this person who's from the streets, who's been trying to get by and who's got an education, a great woman. So I couldn't do anything but cry. And so posting that video, was to help women who came from a similar background as I had, to inspire them to, number one, you don't have to go through what I went through. And number two, if you did go through what I went through, you can overcome. Because by that time, I was a teen mom as well. So
in that first video, do you remember the message that came through clearly? I mean, you said it was booty was trash, and I'm sure there was still some gold in there because something moved you to the point of inspiration and wanting to share something. So what was the main message in that first video?
The main message, if I can remember correctly, because it was like, I did like three, I filmed like three in one day. It was like part one, part two, part three.
Oh yeah, that's how you do it at first. You're like, they're going to listen to all three parts all the way through.
And I think it was a video just teaching women how to value themselves. It's a really good message. It was just boring. That's all. Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, sometimes we have really good shit to say and it doesn't pick up because we're a little boring at first. And that's what I think is so dynamic about you, is how exciting you are to follow. And I know that comes with practice and skill and just a hell of a lot of authenticity as well, because I think when we remove the barriers of who we think we should be, we're just so much more interesting. And I can see you doing that and shedding layers of yourself all the time. And social media is a great way to express that dynamic change. And I'm curious, for the first video that went viral for you or got up a lot of speed, maybe it wasn't like huge, but it was something more than what you were used to. Number one, the curiosity that I have is, what was the topic on that? And what did you do differently in that video that you think allowed it to pick up speed?
So the first video that went viral was called Used, Abused, Misused Religious Cliches. And so I came from a very religious background and I was lashing out. And it was just a video of me yelling religious cliches in these wigs, these clothes I got from the thrift store. And I'm just like, touch not mine anointing, or, I'm just too blessed to be stressed. And I was just doing, and then I started speaking in tongues. I'm like, and like so many church people were angry, but then there are also people like, oh my gosh, like this is just how it is. This brought me back to, how I grew up. So yeah, it was very interesting.
I just got flashbacks too. It's beautiful. Everyone expresses themselves differently, obviously, when they're having a spiritual experience. What is so interesting about that is how open you were to being polarizing, which I think a lot of people need to work up the courage. Okay, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm about to do it. Okay, I just did it. Oh shit, what's going to happen next? And you came out of the gate with that, or so it seems. What gave you the courage, or the, I guess maybe a little bit of rebellious streak or instigation spirit as well? But what gave you the courage to really make yourself known in that way? You had a lot of ability to be polarizing from the get-go. And when we step into a polarizing picture of like, okay, I stand for this and this is not what I stand for, or something of that flavor, like basically taking a stand, making fun of something, not making fun of something, there's a lot of room for that in our social media platforms. So you chose to be polarizing in a very interesting way that a lot of people feel like they need to work up the courage to speak. Like, okay, I'm about to speak my truth. I'm going to do it. Oh my gosh, I just did it. I'm scared shitless. What are people going to think of me? Was any of that dialogue active for you, or were you just like, fuck it, I'm going to speak my truth?
At that time, no. It was just, let's record and we're going to throw it up at that time. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So at that time, what's different now?
Well, it grew into, once I started to have like a dedicated audience and like it was being shared, it was like, okay, people are twisting my words.
Right.
And this is getting out of control. And I ended up on World Star Hip Hop, if you're familiar with that. And like people were going in on me, dragging me for filth in the comments. And I'm like, I'm not saying what you're saying. And so I started second guessing myself and trying to figure out, how do I address everything that people are going to say about me in these videos? And how do I write my script so that I can counterattack everything? And now I'm like, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say and let that be that.
How did that go for you? Like having a platform and playing devil's advocate for everything that you say is an exhausting task. And it also constricts your creative power. It's also sometimes a useful tool for sensitivity and empathy and understanding how your message is received. How did you balance that, now in your career, now having a successful business and now having, the library of videos behind you in your history that you've had experience with, what was your maybe 3 keys to understanding how to take feedback and how to filter it, and ultimately how to not exhaust yourself with wondering what people are going to think about everything that you say?
I'd say number 1, you really have to be extremely clear about who your message is for. What is the message you're trying to send, and then who it's for? Because you could be speaking a message, but if you're not clear on who it's for, your tone could be off. And so I recognize that sometimes I was trying to help women, but my tone was so off because I wasn't clear on that men used it to bash women with. And I'm like, I ain't about that business. And so I had to be very clear. So if I'm talking to women, how do I speak to them? What tone empathizes with women and help to change them and not exacerbate the problem even more to where they'll be angry that I even spoke about this. So that's number 1. Be very, very clear about who you're talking to. Number 2, realize that you just have one message at a time. One message at a time. People are going to address what you didn't say, but that wasn't your job to do in that particular piece of content. And that's okay. But you have to be talking about one thing to get that one point across. But if you're all across the board, then they're not going to hear anything. Your point won't land with anyone. So realizing that point is going to, if you have that one message, your point is going to land with the people that you're talking to. So number 1, realize you're talking to one group of people, and then 2, one message at a time. And then 3, realizing no matter what the hell you say, someone's going to disagree. And so you just got to say it. I remember saying something like, hey, love everybody. And like, well, you can't love everybody because it's like, the hell? Doesn't matter how positive the message is. Someone's going to come, and it's just like, hey, when you think is Beyonce or Oprah, are they sitting here worried about what's being written in the comments? Like, I had to learn how to ignore the comments, and I still have to do that. So those are the 3 things that I have to say. Know who you're talking to, one message at a time, and there's always going to be detractors. Say it anyway.
Say it anyway. Beautifully precise. Thank you so much. And that's such a great that's a resonant tone to what I think the world needs to hear all the time. We have such a beautiful opportunity to speak up about the things that we care about. And there's always going to be naysayers, people who want to pick apart everything that you did or didn't say. And I read this quote once, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was beautiful. And it said, I'd rather have my imperfect expression than my perfect constriction, or my imperfect love than my perfect hate and criticism. And that's just something that I try to remember. Like, as long as I'm coming from love and enthusiasm, and I'm coming from my heart and what my mission truly is, I know that my message is going to land with the people who really understand why I'm here on earth. And for the rest of the people who don't understand that yet, or don't want to understand that yet, totally good. I still love them anyway. There's nothing they can do to stop me from loving them, but it's just not aligned in this lifetime for us to really land with each other. So having that acceptance is beautiful. It's really wild that you were able to have that so early on in your career, and maybe you were forced into it because of the viral videos, and that just accumulates more worthiness and self-belief on your path in today's world. So going back to your business journey, and when you started making these videos and sharing your thoughts online and having it pick up speed, and people were like, you can get paid for this. What was your first attempt at getting paid doing what you love and making a living off of being a sassy thought leader or someone who had a lot of things to say?
Well, first of all, as a woman of faith who catered to an audience of primarily women of faith, that was something I wasn't even considering or ready for. Even when they told me, I'm like, I don't want to be a pimp preacher. I don't want to exploit the religious community.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I can't get paid for this stuff. This is God's work. I'm just putting this content out. Yeah. Little by little, I was just exposed to different pieces of content. Marie Forleo had some testimonials from some people, and I signed up for their list. And this one lady, her name is Maya Getty. She had a mini course on creating your own mini course. And I'm
Imagine
like,
that.
and she said, you can get it for free if you do this survey. And I was like, oh, shoot. I'm typing, I got it for free. What can I lose? So I learned in that program a little, mini course. And then I actually joined our program, the full version, and I made an ebook for $7.
All right.
And one person bought.
Worth it. Looking back, worth it. At the time, you're probably like, what the capital F is going on?
$7. And it was a friend who bought it.
Snaps for that. We have all been there. A moment of silence for all of our friends and families who pity buy our shit. Thank you. We need you.
2015, $7 ebook.
Yeah. Wow, 2015. That was not long ago, actually. So after the ebook days, we all have to go through the ebook days. What came next? What was your next moment of curiosity? Because I'm sure you looked at that and you were like, well, that didn't work. So what can I explore next? And what was your pull to in the next move for your business?
A course, a $27 course.
All right. So bumping up by $20, $27 course. And then how did that go?
So I enrolled like 6 ladies, which when you looked at my audience, it was like you should have gotten more. Like the conversion rate, my audience was pretty big and I was able to convert. I got 6 people to do $27.
Why do you think that is? Just for a pause, looking back, knowing how your audience converts now and knowing all the pieces of what makes people actually convert and how to come across in a way that's actually geared and the goal is conversion. What do you think was missing from that offer, even though it was so affordable? And I'm sure that it was so valuable too. Like it might have been really, really valuable, at least the information that you had available to you at the time. What was missing? Like the price point was super affordable. It was great information. So what didn't work about that?
I would say number one, I didn't have a clear niche. I was just talking about the product, and oh, this is so great and so awesome. And bye, I'll help you be a queen. Right? That's number one. So I didn't have like a niche of people to talk to. And if you're trying to talk to everybody, you don't talk to anyone. So that was number one. So the people who like bought it, like they were ride or die Torah people, right? The next thing, I didn't have a clear offer. It wasn't clear at all. It didn't take them and let them know their A point to get to their B point. And then the how of getting them to the A or to the B point. And then 3, I didn't make much offers. It was just like, I whispered about it on Tuesday. I whispered. I know they heard me, but I can't be too loud or they're going to think I'm pimping them.
Yeah. This is not only a journey of business development. This is a journey of speaking up for the fact that you have something of value to offer for a price. That feels weird at first. It feels really weird to put a price on your value because it's intellectual knowledge. It's intellectual property. Like, how can you really put a price on that when Google has so much information for free? And I think that's what stops so many coaches from monetizing their expertise and their knowledge, not understanding the years and the blood, sweat, and tears that it took you to accumulate that knowledge and dispense it in such articulate precision for someone to understand and get that breakthrough point. There's no price you can put on it because it is priceless. That's a moment that we all search for in life, and it's worth everything and nothing at the same time. And it's such a weird thing to navigate. So thanks for speaking into that. I just wanted to highlight that because I think we all deal with that. And you were in a very sensitive terrain as well, with the religious terrain of what you were speaking into as well. You didn't want to seem like a pimp. And so going on to after the $27 course, after the 6 people enrolled, I'm sure that was a great moment compared to the one sale of the $7 ebook. What was next for you in your business development journey?
So I went to navigating what my niche was more so, because the viral videos were attracting a certain crowd. So the videos that started going viral, like there was this one video, it was called Why Quote Unquote Strong Women Should Stay Single. And it was a very controversial video. It was, the clickbait title, watch the video, got shared so many different times. And so it was more so about how women shouldn't think that, vulnerability is weakness and being obnoxious is strong. And women were saying, oh, I just want to learn about being feminine. And so I would have a course on that. And then when I would have a course on that, they would say, well, what about the men? We want to know about the men. We see about the femininity, but we want the men. And I was like, I don't want to talk about the men. I'm a dating coach now. I don't want it, but they're like, but I want to talk about it. And I was like, I just feel like so many people are already exploiting women, especially Black women, when it comes to getting a man. And then women of faith is like, God's going to send you a husband. And I just felt like it was a lot of desperation there. And I didn't want to be one of those people seen as exploiting women and their yearning for the opposite sex. And then I had a colleague and I'm like, Samone, if you don't do it, they're going to hire somebody else. They're going to get what they want, and it might not be what they need. And so if this is what women are asking you for, then I challenge you to see and try it out. And I started moving over to the niche of dating and love and relationships before marriage.
Sounds like you were taking on a lot of sensitive communities and narratives head on. And what ultimately inspired you to do that was knowing that if you didn't navigate this sensitive territory yourself, someone else would do it, and potentially in a damaging way. And so you wanted to fulfill that need in that space and that demand from the market in the most aligned and in integrity way you knew how. And that was your call to step up as a leader in that community. Does that sound accurate?
Yes, accurate.
Ooh, that's immensely powerful. And that was ultimately my shift as well. And I didn't want to be a business coach. I didn't grow up wanting to be a business coach. I didn't say, I want to just talk about niching and offer and sales for the rest of my life. That wasn't something that I chose, but it was something that I felt called to step into because there was so much desperation, so many voices out there that were just waving shiny carrots in front of people's faces, like, come down this way, it'll work. Come down this way, it'll work. And I was like, nobody's actually talked about the principles, which is in this $15 book. And then coupling that with experience, it's like this industry is the Wild West. And I felt a calling to just support and share the information that I thought was going to be helpful. No strings attached, turns into an amazing business. And that sounds like a similar path as you as well. Okay, so fast forward into some other things that you may have tried leading up to your discovery of OCA or Rachel Bell or whatever you came across first. What was a couple other things that you tried out that you're glad you tried out?
I did challenges. I did free challenges to convert. And then I did paid challenges. I did like a paid challenge for like $47. And I fell over like in the fetal position when someone asked me for a payment plan on the $47 product challenge. I'm like, what's happening here? So challenges, just courses, just doing lots of, I was on Periscope every day after work, every single day. I got burnt out from doing Periscope lives. It was crazy. And then Facebook lives, I was just giving so much of myself. And I was like, just trying to reach people. And I'm trying to find a balance of giving of myself plus to match like the money that was coming in. I'm like, this is a lot of damn work. Yeah. That's pretty much where I was coming up before OCA. But then I met a young lady. I was introduced to someone on Instagram, and she said that she was selling a course for like a program for like $9.97. And I was like, come again? $9.97 to my $197? How is it possible for my niche? This isn't business, right? Who is going to pay more than $197? And then they were like the religious community. And I'm like, what? This is possible for this niche with this group of people? I just started binge reading books, podcasts on high ticket from there. And then, dun, 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 I discovered Rachel Bell from listening to a Sunny Lenarduzzi podcast, and I was hooked from there. Just stalking. I stalk, my future friends, future mentors.
I'm a stalker too. I love a good stalk before I decide to reach out. It's a great way to just, get a feelers out there. I do remember doing that podcast episode with Sunny, and I remember I was just talking about Instagram and how to perfect your bio and gain followers and all that stuff. It was a really good episode, really comprehensive. And I actually do remember some of our first messages and exchanging with one another. I think you were just hyping me up and you were just like, oh, this is great. Like, awesome information. Thanks so much. And then, as time progressed, I noticed that you sent in an application and I was like, oh, I remember that girl. I remember talking to her in the DMs. And so that's always a fun moment. And then you entered the program. And when you were deciding on whether or not you were going to invest inside of Online Coach Accelerator and make this the program that you were going to choose, as opposed to millions or hundreds of other options out there, what was the pull to this program as opposed to many other programs, or piecing all the information through a bunch of podcasts and books and things like that yourself? What made that offer something that you knew you had to get involved in?
I'd say number one, I fell in love with you and your energy and the way you showed up. To me, it was, she is completely herself. And she's weird. Because that's how I am. And so I completely resonated with someone that's in business, but hella weird, just gets on and dances for no reason because I like to do that. And I'm like, yo, I was just captivated. But then you knew your stuff. So not only were you yourself, you were authentic, but you knew your stuff. And I would never miss a story. I had to watch all the stories and listen to all the mini trainings. And then when you would pitch OCA, it was clear, the offer was clearly laid out on what we would cover. And I just got so much information from your stories alone. I'm like, I have to work with her. I have to be in this program. I don't know if you know this, but I even went on your Facebook page and I scrolled down, tried to get to the beginning. I was looking everywhere to just figure out who this person is that just popped up in my life. I stalked your Facebook page, which scrolled all the way down as much as Facebook would let me. All the Instagram posts, as long as it would let me. Stalk your former clients. I was just there. So, and I was just, I just knew I had to work with you.
I love that you did such thorough research into me. And although it's like, oh my gosh, what did she see? Way back in the beginning of my Facebook days, man, I was posting all sorts of weird shit. In the beginning, I was like, I have a cat and I'm going outside, like 11 years ago. I'm like, great content, Rachel. Really good stuff. You've come a long way. So I don't know what you saw, but I'm glad that it worked. And I'll leave it up there just in case some other people are curious about it. Thank you, first of all, for the kind words of reflection and seeing an element of yourself in me, the authenticity and the weirdness. And I think it's so fun to just be ourselves and to be successful at the same time. And really, I wouldn't want to have one without the other. So that's really just the decision I made. I know a lot of people in my industry are stiff, or they express themselves a lot more stiff than I would like to. And they're very precise and very professional. And I just think that's not who I am. And I don't want to put myself in a box to be that, because ultimately what I want is just a complete revolution of people who are wildly themselves, are so incredibly free and expressive and want to do it however they do it. And they're able to make tons of money, contribute at the highest level, grow and evolve and have fun. That's all I'm interested in. So why not just make that the reality today? So inside of OCA, what was the main thing you were hoping to get out of the program? Just to backtrack a little bit and think about, okay, yes, Rachel Bell, you really resonated with her and you wanted to learn more stuff, but what was the main driving force of wanting to get clarity inside of the program?
I wanted to create predictability in my business. Using the tools that I learned from you, I had success. But it was still that underlying, okay, how do I recreate this over and over and over again? And then when I hear her say, love your clients, how does that look like in detail? Like I'm just assuming I know and doing based upon what I know. But if I'm in the program, I'd really know. Or the magic PDF was the one thing that I was just like, yo, people keep talking about this in her stories. I tried the magic PDF and it was everything. I'm like, yo, what the hell is the magic PDF? Because I'm trying to be on. Like, I'm trying to be on, and no one is really explaining what this is. And if I just joined for that alone, it was worth every penny. Because I don't even use a site anymore. It's like PDF everything.
I love that you brought that up, because 2 parts. Number one, I know that not everyone understands what the magic PDF is, and that's kind of by design. I want you to be so curious about it because it is such a dynamic tool that we use that does all the selling for us. We don't have to have a website. We don't have to have a funnel. All we have is this magic PDF. And so it's this like exclusive, yummy little secret that all the OCA alumni have with each other. And they're like, ooh, nice magic PDF. I like yours. Do you like mine? Let's check it out. Let's send this out to people. And it's just a beautiful little thing. And it's a cozy little secret and inside joke kind of, but also a really magnificent tool. Anyway, I love it for that reason. I also love that you said that because the people listening to this episode right now don't know what it is, most likely. And they're feeling a sensation of like potentially missing out and wanting the full picture. So I understand where you're coming from. I understand that you want the full picture. I also want to use this as a small lesson to teach you about what creates intrigue. When you own a signature methodology, when you own a little secret and you give it a name, and you teach your clients to become familiar with it and to use it, and then they're talking about it and it's creating notoriety and reputation of its own, that's when you really get a lot of momentum in your business and in your brand as a whole. Take this curiosity. You'll find out what the magic PDF is when you join OCA, but take this curiosity and apply it to your own business. How can you add intrigue to your own business and what you teach inside of your programs? And I'm curious, Samone, have you integrated any of these little signature methodologies into your brand as well?
Yes, I actually have something that I call the triple threat success method.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's, comes from basketball analogy. Whenever you're in the triple threat position, you are dangerous. You can move and you could either pass the ball, you could dribble the ball, or you could shoot. And so if you're in that stance, you're dangerous. And so pretty much a triple threat, the success method is what my clients use in order to show up as the type of woman that they need to show up to not only connect better with themselves, but also with the opposite sex. So, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And just adding a name to it adds intrigue. It adds like this curiosity of like, oh, she actually has a thing. She's not just talking about confidence and self-love. She has a thing and she has a blueprint. And that's what we really want from experts and course creators and content creators. We want the frameworks so that our brains can attach and remember it, and then we can actually use it and integrate it. So not only is it a great mark of a teacher, so you're a great teacher probably through all the video experience that you have, just getting on lives and spilling the beans, and also creating the amount of courses and ebooks that you've created. You have a lot of experience in distilling that information, making it simple, but also comprehensive. So that's a skill set that I see active in you. I also recognize it comes with a lot of hard work and effort to make that happen. And the reason why I'm pausing, guys, and taking time to acknowledge Samone's journey is because I want to give you complete context into how she was able to create such a dramatic success story inside of OCA. This did not happen by accident. This did not happen by luck. This happened because she took time to prepare and to do a lot of internal digging and work and observation of what was working so that she could just model success and get it going for herself ASAP when she joined the program. So for a little bit of further context, if you don't mind sharing, where were you at in your business in terms of like average monthly revenue before OCA?
So before the program, after I discovered Rachel's Jewels on Instagram and following her and implementing her tools for my group program that I created, I came out the bat with a 22K, and it was within like a month and a half period of pitching my group program. So it was the first time I had pitched a program like that. And I guess people were hungry during that time. And after that, I shut the doors. I didn't really know what was going to be working for me, what was not. And I really wasn't concerned about, I got to hit this monthly goal every month, because it was all about this new program. And I had to make sure, like Rachel said, love on your clients. And I felt like I had to really focus on loving them instead of focus on, I got to launch again. I got to make more money. So it was 22 and I didn't make any more money or open the doors to make any more money until a few months later. And from there, I started really pitching my program again, I would say the end of summer before I joined OCA. And that is when I started to have the overflow. That is when I had the overflow. So yeah.
What did that look like? What did the overflow feel like? And tangibly, what did it look like on the data?
So like I said before, I wanted to join OCA to put together all the pieces that I was learning from your stories and, what I was getting from you. And so once the pieces were put into place, it was more predictable. It was like, okay, so this is the information that I'm putting out. And then it's just like, oh, okay. So I was able to make 10K, 15, 20. I think when I left OCA, it was 3,700, not 3,700, 37,000. 37,000 in like a 2 month period. Because one of the months I didn't sell anything. So when I came into OCA, I was like, I'm not taking on any new clients.
Yeah.
Because I want to focus on getting in this work. So within 2 months, it was 37.5K within 2 months.
I remember you sending me a message being like, I just did it, 37K. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Congratulations. And also, what is the context? I can only learn so much about someone through an intake form and through these coaching calls where we show up in the present moment. That's why I'm so grateful to be learning more about your entire history and where you come from, because it's all so full circle and it makes so much sense now that we have like the full story. And I just want to take a moment to celebrate with you in person. I know it was a little while ago, but congratulations on that massive overflow of abundance and prosperity that you deserve and that you worked for and that you earned. And I'm so proud of you. Thank you for choosing yourself and for making this work.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. I really appreciate you taking your gifts and not being scared to put yourself out there in the way that you have. Because when I found you, I just felt like my whole world changed. Like now my whole life has changed because I decided to move my business in this direction. And I get so many compliments off of this program from even guests that I bring in to speak to my clients. And I have so many raving women in the program. It's insane. I've just created this amazing community just off of discovering you. So thank you.
Thank you. And you did that all the way. And you were meant for it all along. And I feel so blessed that I could have been a little bit of an accelerator towards that path that you were meant for. But ultimately, yeah, I think we both know so deeply, like we're both just so meant for this path. It's happening. It's inevitable. It's destiny. And it's always so nice to meet people who just accelerate your path and move you forward in a more clear direction there. So thank you for that reflection. My next question for you is the 3 major takeaways that really changed your paradigm or potentially just refined your paradigm in the way that you viewed your business from within Online Coach Accelerator. What were those 3 main takeaways that someone has to look forward to when they join the program?
Oh, man. One huge takeaway from OCA was truly making sure that your clients feel seen, heard, and understood. And that's not just when you're prospecting, if I'm saying the word right, and you're sending your magic PDF and you're in your content. Oh yeah, now I got their money. So, whatever is whatever. It's like, no, like once they join the program, they still have to feel seen, heard, and understood the whole way through. And so that was a huge takeaway for me, because it's like, okay, so how do I make them feel seen, heard, and understood today? What time am I going to take out today to make sure of that? And it's really hard to disregard or neglect your people when you're always in a constant state of they need to be seen, heard, and understood. It's just really hard to do that because you're consistently loving on them. So that's number one. Number two, I would have to say what transformed my view was always assume the best of people, just in general. Because when you're assuming the best, the type of energy that you cultivate is the type of energy that's going to attract your ideal people. But if you're assuming that, oh man, they don't want to buy anything. They just want free information. They just want to leech off of me. Then you're not going to show up the way you need to show up in order to make the impact that you're going to make. And so just always assuming the best, because I know I was guilty of it. It was like, they're here and they don't even want to say good morning to me. They just want to take. But it's just like, you don't really put yourself in their shoes. Like they're in pain right now and they're sending you a message out of pain. And so good morning is probably not the first thing that's going to be on their mind. They want to heal the pain. And so you have to be empathetic towards that, even though you probably can't give much of yourself. So just always assuming the best was number two. The third thing that really transformed my life when it came to, and my business, when it came to OCA, was community. We're not doing this alone and we shouldn't try to do it alone. And the community that OCA has created, when you're feeling bad, all you got to do is just post in the community. If you're feeling some type of way, just show up to your accountability calls because your accountability coach is going to help you get unstuck. It's one thing to understand relationships are a key accelerator. It's another thing to actually experience it in a program like this. And this was one of the best programs, the best program that I've ever joined when it comes to fostering that type of community. I have friends now that I still talk to from OCA that I talk to regularly, friend in Belgium that I talk to, fellow dating coach. Shout out to Francesca. And then I talked to a nursing brand coach. Shout out to Yolanda. So I'm still chatting with these ladies regularly and we're like boosting each other up. And when we're feeling down, it's like, oh, you got this. We came from OCA. And now we're like kicking it and we're family and we're like watching each other's dogs on stories and telling each other's, significant others hi, those types of things. So yeah, it's pretty cool community.
I love that. Thank you. And Yolanda, she just messaged me this week telling me all about her wins and her big month. So that was a beautiful full circle moment as well, knowing that you guys still talk and that you're holding each other accountable and that you're friends for hopefully a very long time, just because you were bonded in this experience of both choosing growth and choosing evolution, choosing your liberation over staying the same. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful journey. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for generously endorsing OCA as one of the main community builders out there, because that is my only goal, is to make my clients feel seen, heard, and understood. And I know that through doing that, there's a gateway to a tremendous amount of presence and love, and ultimately what we all want and deserve and need, that sense of oneness and belonging and safety. And we can only have that through understanding each other and through community. And I feel very honored to have a community of people who are very dynamic and very amazing and very epic. Like the clients that we attract inside of OCA for whatever reason are just magnificent human beings. And you're one of them. And I just want to thank you for being a part of it and making the culture of OCA such a more deep level of possibility for everyone, especially through sharing your story and where you come from and what your life truly was like and is like today. It's a dynamic transformation. It's all instilling the sense of just awe and rapture within me of what is possible for all human beings if they just choose themselves. And it's amazing. So thank you for sharing your story with that. That means the world to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Your program is amazing.
Thank you. So the fears. I know that there's someone listening to this and is like, yeah, I feel like I'm going to do it. But also I am scared shitless and I do not know if this is going to come back to me and there's no way to guarantee it. I'm not looking for a guarantee, but it would be pretty nice to know that this is going to pay off. The thing about investing in any business building program is that there is no guarantee. If someone's doing this thing ethically, they can't guarantee that you are going to make a certain amount of income. They just can't. That's not something I can do for you. It's something that's a partnership and a collaboration between us. And therefore, I can't guarantee anything. And I'm very open about that. But we do want that feeling of safety that, like, if I shell out this investment, is it going to come back to me? Am I going to get something of worth out of this experience? So in your experience of investing and making that leap, because it's not a small investment, it's one that definitely requires a decision and a full body commitment to the program. What was your main fear? Or did you have any voices of fear or doubt in your mind? And how did you rationalize that and make the choice to make the leap anyway?
So I have to be completely honest. When it came to OCA, there was really no fear. In that, I knew I was going to do it. That was something that I saw from looking at the stories, how clear you were in articulating your knowledge and how clear you were in articulating the offer, the information and the wisdom that you displayed. I just knew that it was going to be an amazing blessing in my life. So I didn't have any fear about that. Now, this is what I will have to say is it's because of my journey that I'm here, that I understand that me showing up is what bring the transformation that I'm looking for. And even if it wasn't a program that I felt gave me everything that it said it was going to give me, I learned something and I took something away from that. And so I stopped being scared of investing. I felt it always to be worthy in investing, but more so following my intuition to what I align with versus shiny objects. So I learned through, okay, this is shiny object, but this right here, this aligns with me. I've learned from the free content. I've tested the free content out instead of like just waiting if I join the program. It's like, no, I'm going to implement what they're teaching. And if it works, oh, hell yeah, I'm signing up for the program because the free stuff worked. Yeah. Right. And so because of this journey, it was a no-brainer with OCA. Like, you didn't have to convince me. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to pay and I'm going to show up for myself. And I know I'm going to be a beast after I finish the program because I know how this works.
Thank you for adding that note about your journey, giving you the context to understand that no matter what investment it is, and no matter how much it is, there is an energetic exchange that either looks like money or it looks like something else. It could look like a really good and expensive lesson. And in my business investment journey, there's definitely been hundreds of thousands of dollars that maybe I'll never see again, but went into the right pockets because I needed to learn what it felt like to not get what I needed out of a program. I needed to understand what it felt like to be on the other side of that. I needed to understand what it was like to be convinced of something that I didn't need and that I just wanted because of whatever reason. And I knew what it was like to be sold into something and to be, giving my testimonial out to people who are just, using it everywhere, even though it's not really what I stand behind. I just knew what it was like to feel those things. And that's what gave me a deeper level of commitment and integrity to service within OCA, which is the only reason it's at where it's at. I needed to get kind of ripped off myself in order to get through that. So the next time that you're looking to invest, I promise you OCA is not going to give you the experience of getting ripped off. Let me just make that very clear. That's not the lesson you're going to get from OCA. But in any investment you do make in yourself, there's a risk, right? There's an inherent risk that you may not see the monetary returns come back to you. Now, your job, as Samone beautifully articulated, is to show up, be a beast, make it work, and understand that whatever's missing and whatever you didn't get is something that will eventually integrate itself as a lesson that's worth way more than what you spent on it. So hopefully that made sense as a little wrap up to that part of the conversation. And my last and final question for you, Samone, is if we were just sitting in a room, all three of us together, you, me, and someone who is a great fit for OCA, and they know it, and they're listening, and they're like, fuck, she's talking about me. I know it. I know it's me, but I'm just like a little nervous. What are some things that you would say just as a community member and as someone who understands and's been there? What would you say to give them clarity on what they need to do next.
Listen, I completely get it. I understand. It is not a piece of change. It's kind of a guap, right? Mm-hmm. And I understand that there may be some fear that, well, what if this doesn't work for me? Mm-hmm. And what if I come on the other side and I'm still in the same place? So I want to say to you is that there's no real reward without that type of risk. And if you show up for yourself and you implement what's been given to you, you will have results. You will have success as long as you're not making up stories about why you can't do something or making up excuses, but utilizing all the resources that's provided, from the community to the accountability calls to the Q&A stuff. It's kind of impossible for you to fail unless you just ghost the program and just not do it. It's really, really hard to fail. And so I'm just asking you to show up for yourself. Show up, do the work. You're going to see the results. And don't compare yourself to others. You're on your own journey. You're on your own journey. When you come out of OCA, you're going to transform from the person that you were when you started, not from the person Carly was when she started. And so you really have to be grateful for your journey and understand that this is the path that you are on. Mm-hmm. And so, girl, come on, stop playing. Or boy, stop playing. Stop playing and step into the vortex.
I always do that too. I know that there are beautiful male listeners out there. I appreciate you. And I apologize for when I just refer to the ladies, but there's a lot of ladies out there and they need to be referred to at times. Wow. This is a beautiful interview for so many reasons. You guys don't know this, but Simone's spitting water, coughing. That was a funny moment. Oh, man. Thank you for just so generously giving your insight, your knowledge, your background, your journey, just your human experience. Thank you for generously giving us a look into what that is and giving us the opportunity to get to know you. And I know that if you're anything like me, you just want more of Samone. You want more. So how can we get more? Tell us a little bit about what you got going on Instagram and on Facebook.
Okay. So listen, I am TorahCents on everything. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And I am most present on Instagram. And so if you catch me on Instagram, you're going to catch jewels of wisdom. You're going to catch dating tips. You're going to catch my family's life in my stories and tips and tidbits and just my own personal journey, because I get pretty vulnerable in my stories and on my ground. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And that's what I can dish out for you.
Yeah. And if you want to link to that, just go to paydaywithrayray.com. We'll have her linked in the show notes so that you can review the notes from this amazing lesson, this amazing interview, and you can go stalk TorahCents on Instagram. Give her a little taste of her own medicine and go back in all of her posts and like the first post. Oh my gosh, this would be so much fun. Everyone go do that.
Oh, Lord. It's weird stuff back there.
I know. You deserve to be known, though, on all levels.
It's funny you say that because I do screenshots of my Facebook memories from like 11, 12 years ago. And I post them on my story so people can see where I come from.
That's good. I love that.
Long ways.
If I did that, it would be well, maybe I'll consider it. There's just a lot of horse talk back then. I was obsessed with horses. I'm like, horses, everything. I love this breed of horse. I was like the horse girl. So not really applicable to now, but I'll take that into my little arsenal of things to try in the future. Anyway, Samone, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a voice for so many different elements that are going on in this conversation of investing in yourself and choosing yourself and creating a future that you love. And what I'm most grateful for is the fact that you have lived through such a tremendous amount of life and that there's so much more waiting for you. It's just starting. And that's the most beautiful piece of this conversation is the fact that this is just now starting to come fully online. Like the things are just starting to click. And the journey is just so much longer than it is today or what it has been. And I sense that you have this unshakable sense of destiny and belonging in your abundance and in your prosperity and in your self-worth. And it makes my heart shine and expand with so much love to watch you walk this path. So thank you. From my heart to yours, just know that you're always in my thoughts, and you are always one of the top examples I point to when I say, if you show up like this woman, you will be in good shape. That's it. And I'm always in your corner. So thank you for sharing your time. I love you so deeply. And yeah, go check her out, guys. TorahCents on Instagram and on Facebook. All right. That was the episode with Samone. I loved this episode. I loved recording it with Samone because it was such a beautiful, intimate time to just get to know her as a person and understand where she comes from and what her secret power was that helped her create amazing results inside of OCA. Now, during that interview, I'm sure that you found different parts where you were relating and certain parts where you were like, wow, I can see how that happened. I can see clearly how she was able to create those results, and it's amazing. And I see that possibility for myself. And if that's you, again, I would love to invite you to join this round of Online Coach Accelerator. We just opened up enrollment today as of this Friday, June 19th. So if you are in and you want to learn more and you want to see if this is the right fit for you, me and my team are waiting to have a call with you to figure out if it's going to take you to the next level. Go to onlinecoachaccelerator.com, and on that page, you're going to be able to fill out an application. We're going to be able to book a call together. And then on that discovery call, we're just going to interview you, ask you some questions, figure out if you're a good fit. If you are, we'll talk about enrollment, what that looks like. And we can't wait to meet you inside of the program. So again, I'll see you at onlinecoachaccelerator.com. Check out Samone, give her some love, tell her what you loved about this episode, go give her a follow. And until next Friday, have a great payday, and I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did find it super valuable, you just want to share it with the world, make sure you screenshot, post, and tag me on Instagram so I can stalk your profile and we can connect more. And to get notified on the next episode here on Payday, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes so you never miss a beat. Get out there, secure the bag, and I will see you next payday.